Hi and welcome to the shop. I'm Jeremy, and today I was hoping to show you a little bit about case construction when you're trying to accommodate a drawer. So we often see videos and tutorials on how to make your dovetail drawers, but not so often do we see the techniques and joinery used to create the case or the box that the drawer will be going in. So today what I have is essentially like a hall table, except the legs have been cut off. This is going to end up being a floating shelf, but if you can imagine these legs being a little longer, all of these same techniques could be used to build a hall table, or even something much larger like a dresser that might have multiple drawers going in it. So let's start out by looking at the parts and looking at the joinery that I chose, and then we'll be able to see how that drawer is going to operate inside of this case with these components and these joinery techniques. So the first thing I did when selecting my parts and choosing the structure of this piece is I started with the legs. So again, these are cut short because this is just going to be a floating shelf on the wall. But if this were longer, this could easily be a table. And the joinery techniques that I use here could easily be used there, other than the joinery I'm using on the bottom, which can be modified for that leg to extend down. So what I have are my four legs. And I'm going to need sides, back, and then two rails in the front so that it's left open for the drawer to slide in and out. So I started out by first just milling some grooves anywhere that there's going to be a solid panel. So that's going to be on the back, and in the two sides I have those grooves. And these are the front two. And then, because that is a pretty shallow groove, and especially for this piece since it's going to be hanging on the wall and there's some leverage, some forces that could pull this joinery apart, I want to deepen that joinery a bit. So after milling this at the table saw with the dado head, I went back in and deepened two sections of that groove with some deeper mortises. So even though this groove is about 3/8 inch deep, I extended two mortises a little deeper to about 3/4 of an inch deep. And you'll also notice that instead of deepening this mortise all the way through, I left some solid material in the middle. And the purpose of that is that a mortise that is that long would severely weaken this outside edge. So anytime you're going to have a mortise that is that long, anything over, I don't know, 4 inches or so, where you don't have that much material on either end, you're going to want to leave some solid material in the middle so we don't weaken the structure. And then I did that anywhere that groove is cut. So I've got double mortises plus my groove. On the front of the case, so if I were to take all these pieces and spin it around, so now you're looking at the front of the case, I have where the sides are going to meet. Again, I have the groove with the mortises. But because this has to be left open for that drawer to slide in and out, I need a rail here at the top and then a rail at the bottom. And if this were a table leg, I could just do some mortises into the side here. But since I have cut these legs off and this is going to be hanging on the wall, I just mirrored what I've done top and bottom. And what I've chosen for the top is what's called, well, I guess you would call it like a drop-in dovetail, or kind of like a sliding dovetail. But instead of the rail going into the leg this way, the rail is going to drop in from the top. And the reason that we do that is, let's say I was going to do just a tenon like this that's going to slide in. By the time I cut the mortise for that leg and the top of this leg, there's not a lot of material left up here at the top. And then secondarily, when you cut the mortise this way, the end grain is actually what is touching the face grain of your tenon, which is not quite as strong as the face grain or side grain of your wood. So at any time when we're woodworking, we want as much face grain or long grain to long grain surface. We don't want that end grain if we can avoid it. Now with modern glues, that probably is not as true as it used to be, but it's still probably good practice to pay attention to that. So with a dovetail joint instead, let's see if I've got the right one. Yep. So with the dovetail joint, what I'll be able to do is assemble all of the case. So I'll be able to join my sides together and then join my back together with these pieces, and then come back later and glue in the dovetail, which slides in from the top. And then in this case, there's another one that'll slide in from the bottom. But you can see that this gives me long grain to long grain glue surface. And it also gives me a bigger tenon. This dovetail, the tail of this is acting as the tenon, and I have a much larger tenon than I would if I did a 1/4 inch tenon here to go into there. So I've got a larger tenon, and then I have face grain or long grain to long grain glue surface. And then lastly, I don't have that little nugget of wood at the top that could easily pop out if this ever went under any stress. So with that much glue surface, we're not going to have any problem with this staying together. Okay, so with that covered, let's go ahead and put this piece together, and then we're going to talk about why the back is shaped the way it is to accommodate the drawer runners that are going to allow that drawer to slide in and out. So these are going to be your drawer supports for both the top and bottom of the drawer, for it to run on and for it to keep it from tipping outward when you pull it out. So let's put this together. And when you're cutting your joinery, a good rule of thumb is that you should be able to put the joinery together by hand or with light taps of a mallet. But when you hold it, it should not come apart. So if you've got your joinery to that tolerance, then you're in good shape. And so you can imagine that if I were gluing this up, I could go ahead and pause here. I could glue up my side panels, let that cure, and now I can get rid of those clamps that I would have used on here on the sides. And all I'd have to be worrying about on my next step is gluing in this back. And then I could temporarily put these rails in just to keep things square while I glued in the back. But that's another reason behind paying attention to the joinery that you choose and understanding how the piece is going to go together, is that oftentimes a piece is going to have so many joints that it'd be impossible to bring it all together at once. And anytime you can break your glue up into sub-assemblies, it's going to be a lot less stressful. And you will likely have better outcomes that way. Okay, so again, if we were building a table, the legs would be longer. I wouldn't have chopped them off, and you would have your sides and your back of the table. And so if this were a dresser, it could even be longer. These legs could be longer, and these side panels, you might orient the grain a different way, but it could also go much taller, and you could accommodate multiple drawers. You would simply have, instead of where I have an upper and a lower rail, you would have an upper and lower, and in as many dividers as you needed to accommodate all of your drawers. And anything in the middle of these legs, you can use just a regular mortise and tenon for these to go into. You might choose something like a double tusk tenon or something like that to get more long grain glue surface, but that's almost unnecessary. So you could easily have lots of drawers by mortise and tenons on these dividers here. So what you're looking at here, as you can see, I've notched out at the top and the bottom for where my drawer supports will go. So again, I'm thinking ahead. I don't want to have to glue all these together, get these to drop in, clamp those, and then also worry about all of my drawer runners all at once. What I would rather do is plan it so that these can come in after the fact. And that's what I've done here. So on the inside of both of my rails is a groove that will accommodate my drawer supports on the top and the bottom. Okay, just simple tongue and groove. And in the back, I have made it such that after the dovetail goes in, these can rest here and then slide into that groove. And they'll rest right here, and I can easily either glue and screw these down, or you could get fancy and do like a dovetail back here just to get a little more strength out of it. But a glue and some screw here is perfectly sufficient. So here's what that would look like. So dovetail, just drop in. And then afterwards, I could even let that set, the glue set up on that before I moved forward. But then this is going to drop in from the back, and because this is flush and it goes all the way down, I can now just slide this drawer support into the front. And I remember one of these was a little tighter, but let's see if we can get it to go in. That. And like that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. One thing to note is when I cut that kind of drop in dovetail, I always like to put a little rabbet across this. And I do that because it gives me a shoulder that matches the shoulder of the back when I cut the joinery there. And that way I know shoulder from shoulder to shoulder and shoulder to shoulder is the same, which makes my case square. But it also gives me a good reference line for when I go to cut this dovetail. I know exactly where to stop, and it gives me some reference marks when I cut these at the table saw. So I cut these on the table saw with a special table saw blade ground at 10 degrees on both sides, so that when I tilt my table saw blade to 10 degrees, it'll leave me a flat bottom kerf mark at the bottom, and I use that that little rabbet there to help with that setup. So just as the front, we're going to drop these in here. And we'll drop in the bottom supports. Now the only difference that you would run into with these back ones here, or this is the bottom now that we're looking at, but if this were an actual table, then you probably wouldn't want to notch out the back or on the bottom like this. It depends on if the back of your table is going to be seen or not. But if it is going to be seen, rather than notching it all the way through, you might want to do something where there's like a mortise and tenon in the back as well. And then you could do sliding dovetails on the any dividers you have in the middle. You could do a sliding dovetail this way, where the dovetail is oriented the horizontal way on the rail, and the rail will slide in from the front. So you would put these supports into the back first, and then slide your divider in that way. So at this point, this is all put together. And we have our rails, which are setting the height of our drawer. And then we have our drawer supports, where we've got good bearing surface on the ends where the drawer is going to run. And then these one in the middle really just help stiffen up the center of this drawer a little bit. So I hope this was helpful in understanding a little bit about case construction in terms of accommodating a drawer. I remember when I was starting out, this was always very confusing to me, and so I hope this was helpful for you today. The only thing not shown here that would make it ready to receive a drawer are the drawer runners on the side. So after this is all glued up, I'm simply going to mill some stock that makes up this gap. So there's a gap here from my side panel out to my rail, which is where my drawer is going to run, and I'm going to mill some stock equal to this thickness so that the drawer has something to guide it all the way back. But other than that, this is what you would need to accommodate that drawer. So I hope this was helpful today and maybe open your eyes up to a little something different if you've never tried a piece that is kind of this challenging to make. I think you'll notice that if you take it step by step, even though it looks quite daunting at first, hopefully you get a better understanding of why we choose different joinery where we do, and take your time and build you a piece that can function properly with a drawer in it. So thanks for joining me today, and happy woodworking.